welcome to today's class on Dotloop 101. What we'll be covering today is the basics of Dotloop. So if you have never been in your Dotloop account or you've been in there a couple times but you're not super comfortable with it, this class is for you. Okay, we'll be a little more slow paced. We'll be going over what Dotloop is, what is a loop, how to create a loop, how to bring forms into your loop, prepare that form, get it electronically signed, and share it to your clients. Okay, so we'll be going over all of that in today's class. And where I'd actually like you to start in today's class, if you're following along with me, is on my screen right here. I am on mykw.kw.com. Okay, so that's at the top of my screen here. That's mykw.kw.com. Okay, and this is a great one for you to bookmark. As you can see, I have that bookmarked on my screen here. You will be going to this site for really all of your online tools for your KW technology, so it's a really important one. It's the one to know. So one more time, that's mykw.kw.com, and let's go ahead and log in. So let's put in your username and password. Your username is generally something like your first initial and your last name, and maybe a number. Okay, your username is not case sensitive. However, your password is. So let's go ahead and put in your password. Again, that's case sensitive. It does require a capital letter and a number, so hopefully we all know what our password is. And let's go ahead and log in. All right, if you're not sure of what your MyKW username and password is, if you are a new agent and Scott Leroy Marketing has set you up, make sure to check your personal email account for a MyKW Setup Complete email that will have all of your setup information, including your passwords. Just a quick note. All right, so when you log into your MyKW account, all right, this is your MyKW home screen. All right, you're going to focus your attention, especially on today's class, on this top center E-Edge control panel box. Okay, so this is where a lot of your online tools sit for your KW technology. And to access Dotloop specifically, that's going to be My Transactions. Okay, so not to be confusing, but you'll hear and see Dotloop referred to as My Transactions and Dotloop interchangeably. Okay, so same thing. You'll just need to click on where it says Start My Transactions, that blue link right here on their E-Edge control panel box, to take you directly into your Dotloop account without further password, hopefully. All right, so again, make sure to click Start My Transactions, that blue link, to take you right into your Dotloop account. Now, this is definitely the best way to get into your Dotloop account directly. All right, the reason being is it shouldn't ask you for a further password for your Dotloop account, which is nice. Okay, there's a million passwords for everything. One less password to remember, it never hurts. Okay, however, you can go to dotloop.com directly to log in if you ever need to. Right, there's also a Dotloop mobile app. Okay, so if you have a tablet, an iPhone, or an Android tablet, or you'd like to put it on your phone, right, there is a Dotloop mobile app that you can search in your Google Play Store or your App Store and download that right away. Okay, it's great if you're on the go. All right, and hopefully you guys are now looking at what I see on my screen. Obviously a little different, but this is your Dotloop home screen here. Now, the biggest thing to note as you're logging into your Dotloop account is you absolutely 100% need this to say KW Premium on the top left. Okay, it typically needs to be a black and red color. All right, so you will want it to be a black and red and say Premium on the top left, and that will mean it is successfully connected to your Market Center. So you have all your Market Center forms. What you do not want your Dotloop account here to be a light blue. All right, if you're looking at a light blue screen, if you will go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com, we can go ahead and connect that to your Market Center. So again, that is support@scottleroymarketing.com. All right, so if you were looking at a light blue screen, just shoot an email over, let us know that what you're seeing, that's a light blue screen in Dotloop, and we can get that fixed up for you immediately. All right, so where I want to start, let's start to learn a little bit of the navigation of your Dotloop account. All right, so first let's start on this. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. So the best way to get into your Dotloop account here is from your MyKW home screen. So I went to mykw.kw.com. You'll see that on the top left of my on my address bar right here on the top left of my screen. And that's where you'll want to go to log in. From there, if you'll go ahead and click on the Start My Transactions link, that should take you directly into Dotloop, ideally. Okay, so let me know if you have further trouble with that. But you can also email support@scottleroymarketing.com. And if you're seeing a light blue screen, they'll be able to connect that for you, no problem. And we try and get that done pretty immediately so you can participate in today's class. All right. Okay, so from here, let's start with the navigation on the top right of your screen. All right, so you'll see about, let's see, 6 different icons on the very top right black toolbar. So let's go over what each one of those does. So you'll notice if I hover my mouse over any of these icons, it pops up telling me what that icon does right under it. So starting with the first icon we see, that will be your dashboard, right? So that's going to show you all the stats for your loops, year-to-date sales, okay, any information on your loops in a grid or in a table view. All right, moving to the right, this loops. This is a very important one, and I'll let you know which icons that you'll really want to focus on. And that would be, one would be this loops icon. Kind of looks like a smiley face with no eyes. It's kind of funny. This loops icon will always take you to your Dotloop homepage. So what you're looking at here. So if you ever get lost in your Dotloop account or just need to get back home, you can do so by clicking this loops icon on the top right black toolbar here. Moving to the right, so we have the tasks icon. All right, so you can create to-do lists for yourself in each one of these loops. To remind yourself of what you need to do for each transaction, which is very cool. If you're like me, I really like to-do lists to make sure I'm getting everything done. Okay, great way to stay organized. This tasks option right here will show you an overview of all of your tasks in every single loop for all of your transactions combined. So it's an overview of all of your to-do lists. Moving to the right, we see this people icon here, right? And that's kind of like your little database for your Dotloop account that will show you any contacts that you've added to your loops. Okay, anyone you've added their email address and any contact information you've added in. All right, next we hit a really important one again. So this templates icon. All right, and we'll be starting in today's class here in just a moment. This templates icon here is going to be where you're going to find all of your blank forms. Okay, so your Market Center loads in all of your blank forms for you, and this is where you can go to simply print out a blank form as well to bring it on your appointment. So we will be doing that in just a moment. I will walk you through exactly how that's done. But before we get started on that, let's go over to this one last icon here. Now, if you do not have your headshot in your Dotloop account, this will be your initials in a circle, the last icon, and that's totally fine. I'll show you how to add your headshot in just a moment here. But if you could hover your mouse over either your headshot or your initials on the top right, let's take a look at a few things here. So first of all, your member ID. Please make sure to take note at least where to come back and find this. If you were to call the Dotloop support phone number, okay, and their phone number is at the bottom of every page in Dotloop. If you call the support number for Dotloop and enter in this member ID when prompted, it'll move you to the very front of the support queue. Okay, so you'll skip everyone. And you get that benefit because you're a Keller Williams premium member, which is awesome. So it cuts down the wait time significantly. So make sure to at least note where that member ID sits. Okay, and that's hovering over your initials or headshot in the top right. All right, if you are an agent in multiple market centers, if you've transferred or if you're actively a member in more than one market center, you might see different Dotloop profiles on this list right here, like I have. Okay, if you are not in more than one market center, you'll probably only see one profile, and that's perfectly fine. All right, but if you are a transfer agent, please note that you can click on one of these other profiles to see the loops in your past market center. All right, so let's go ahead and click on this My Account option to do some housekeeping. All right, so My Account in red, right under your name here. Let's go ahead and click there. If I lost anyone, I'm just hovering over my headshot or initials on the top right and clicking on My Account from that drop down. Okay, so what this section does is it auto-populates all of your information that you enter into this My Account section onto every form that requires your personal contact information. So it saves you a whole lot of time to enter it into this backend, so you don't have to enter that into every single form and every single loop that you create. Okay, we want you working smarter, not harder, of course. So let's go over this section. All right, first of all, let's start with your headshot since it's at the top here. Now, if you do not have your headshot in there already, let's go ahead and add it. Okay, forget what it says, something like upload or add headshot here. Okay, it's really important to have your headshot added in. Okay, your clients are going to be signing legal documents, so it makes them feel a lot better to see your familiar face, to know that it is a legitimate source that they're signing these documents from, especially with so much fraud going on. Okay, so it does give your clients a sense of ease and helps brand you. So make sure to add in your headshot right here. If you don't have your headshot right now, you can make a note on where we want to grab or to add this. Also, feel free to email your headshot to support@scottleroymarketing.com. There's about 6 different places that we add your headshot in throughout your MyKW account. So feel free to just shoot it in an email over to us and we can take care of that for you. We're happy to do that. All right, so let's go down this right side column here and verify all this information is correct and update any information. So first and last name, obviously important to make sure that's correct. Typically you'll want that to be your legal name. Okay, so if your name is Robert and you go by Bob, typically you'll want it to be Robert, but check with your broker in charge on that. Okay, that's different per MLS board. So check with them on what, if you need to have your legal name or if it's okay to have your nickname there. Email address. Go ahead and leave that how it is unless you really don't like it. That email address is really important to note what that is though. So if you are having someone, an agent on the other side, share something to you in Dotloop, they'll ask for your Dotloop email address and this is the email address you need to give them. Okay, I can't stress how important that is. If you give them a different email address, it creates a whole nother Dotloop account for you and gets really confusing. So please go ahead and make a note of what your Dotloop email address is. All right, fax number and phone number. I don't believe you'll have that in there off default, so let's go ahead and add that in. You can go ahead and add in your fax number if you had that. And your phone number, you'll want that to be your business phone number. Okay, typically your cell phone number. All right, and if you're done with that, let's go ahead and come down to your e-sign name and e-sign initials. Okay, this is how you'll be signing all of your forms. So if you sign your name with your middle initial or middle name, you can add that in here. Okay, you can alter how you want your e-sign name and e-sign initials to display. Okay, so any forms that require your signature, this is how it will auto-populate. Who helps with getting access to my transactions? Do you not have access from this home screen here? Are you not able to access, if you click start my transactions, are you not able to access that? Or will you expand on your problem a little? Oh, gotcha. I would email support@scottleroymarketing.com. If you're not sure of what your Dotloop password is, of course you can go to dotloop.com to log in, but if you're not sure of what your username and password is for Dotloop, support@scottleroymarketing.com. Should be able to help you out with that so you can participate in class. And let me put that email address in here. So that is support at, I know I keep saying it, so might as well have it here. Support@scottleroymarketing.com. Shoot them an email. Okay, they respond pretty quickly. Within 5 minutes is our goal. So should be able to get you all squared away so you can participate in class. And again, this is recorded, so don't feel frantic like you're missing anything. You can always come back and watch this again on slmtraining.com. All right, so company name and job title. Okay, so company name, typically you'll want Keller Williams Realty. If you want to add your brokerage name as well, that's what I have here. So Keller Williams Realty, Ballantyne area. Okay, whatever your brokerage name is, you can add that in as well, or just Keller Williams Realty. That will auto-populate onto your forms. All right, and job title, however you go by what your job title is in your area. I know that's different per MLS board. So if you go by salesperson or broker or realtor, if you go by realtor, make sure you write that in all caps. Realtor is a trademarked name, so it does need to be in all caps. Typically with that realtor R as well. All right, and let's go, and feel free to keep working on this, guys. I do need to keep going just time-wise, so I'm going to scroll down to the very bottom of my screen here and start putting in our address. So for our address here, do make sure that is your office address. Okay, don't put in your home address. This does auto-populate onto your form, so you typically will want your office address. If you're not sure of what your office address is, Google tends to know all, so feel free to Google that real quick and grab your office address off Google. And if you are flying through this, of course, feel free to go ahead and click Save on the bottom right of your screen. Make sure to save it before going anywhere else. You'll notice when I click Save on the bottom right, it gives me this nice yellow bar letting me know that it was updated successfully. Okay, I like to see that yellow bar to know it was saved. It's the worst when you do all that work and then it doesn't save. Not a great feeling. So make sure you click Save on the bottom right whenever you're done with that. And then scroll up to the very top of your screen. All right, just a little more housekeeping here before we get started in the meat and potatoes of your Dotloop account here. If you could click on Profiles on the left-hand side, we need to fill in like a little more information on the left-hand side. So go ahead and click Profiles, again on the left-hand side. I know this is a little tedious housekeeping here, but trust me, you'll be thanking me later when you pull up a form and all of this information auto-populates. So when you click on Profiles on the left-hand side, again, if you're an agent in multiple market centers, you might see multiple profiles on the left-hand side. Okay, but typically you'll just want to stay with the one it defaults on here. Let's go ahead and make sure that our phone number and fax number are displaying at the top of our screen here. If it's not, go ahead and add that in one more time. And again, if I lost you, I clicked on Profiles on the left-hand side in red to get to the screen I'm on now. Okay, so we want our phone number, our fax number in. And from this profile details section right underneath, the main thing that you'll need to fill in here is the agent license number. Okay, so it's the one on the bottom right-hand side of the profile details section. So go ahead and put in your license number. You can ignore the others for right now. The license number is really handy to enter in, so you don't have to remember that long string of numbers. You have enough to remember as a new agent. So if possible to enter that in right now, go for it. If not, you can make a note to come back here and enter that in later. All right, and moving our way down the screen here. Okay, last time I promised that we'll have to add in our address. So let's just make sure under this company information, okay, the main fields we'll want to add here is company name. Make sure that's Keller Williams Realty Keller Williams Realty. And if you want to add your brokerage name, go for it. You do not have to, unless it's required by your MLS board. And make sure we have our address here. Okay, so we'll want our company name and the address entered in right here. If you didn't know your address before, you do now, huh? All right, and as you're working on that, okay, I know you're still probably entering that in, and that's totally fine. Take your time. I just want to talk about the notification settings right underneath where you're entering that in. Okay, currently that'll show you when you'll receive email notifications from the Dotloop system. All right, it has check marks all the way down off default, so you'll get emailed when a document is signed, for example, when your signature is required. Okay, if you receive a message in Dotloop. Okay, I would advise leaving all of these checked to start off with. just to make sure you're not missing anything. However, if it gets to be a little too much, too many emails that you're receiving, you can uncheck these. And let's go ahead and click Save on the right-hand side. On the bottom right, please. So we want to click Save, that big red button on the bottom right, and look for that nice yellow bar going across your screen, letting you know that the profile details changed successfully. And then scroll up to the top of your screen. Again, don't forget to click Save on the very bottom right. All right, last thing in this back end of your account, we're going to click on Document Preferences on the left-hand side in red. So again, Document Preferences after you click Save on the bottom right. And this will just show you what your default text is when you're typing in on these forms. Okay, and it gives you a preview with a really weird sentence. I don't know why Dotloop chose that. It makes me laugh every time. But so document preferences on the left-hand side, I just want to let you know that you can change the font if you want that to be a different font here. Okay, if you want your text that you're typing in to really stand out, you can change the font color to blue. Okay, so it'll contrast against the actual legal jargon on the forms that you're filling out. And you can also make the font size bigger or smaller off default. So if you think it's a little too small, go ahead and change it to the 13-point font. And again, this will set the default for every form that you bring into Dotloop. All right, so you can always come back here, guys. You can change this at any time, and document preferences on the left-hand side. Excuse me. Now, of course, we did all of that just to remind you. I know that was a little while ago. We hovered over our headshot or initials on the top right and clicked on My Account. So if you ever need to get back in there, that's where we were. So now let's take a look at how to access all of our blank forms in our Dotloop account. Okay, and that can be done by clicking on the templates icon right to the left of the icon we were just in. So it's the icon that looks like 2 sheets of paper on the top right of your screen. And don't forget, if you ever forget which icon that is, if you hover your mouse over it, it pops up telling you it's the templates. Okay, please make note of this icon. You will be going in here a lot. You'll see this in your loop. It's an important one. Okay, so this is where all of your blank forms sit in your Dotloop account. Now, your account is going to look different than mine. Okay, your Market Center staff is who loads in your forms for you. I'm working at the Keller Williams Ballantyne area Market Center Dotloop account. So mine's going to look different than yours, and that's normal. That's totally fine. So let's say that you have a client that doesn't like electronic signatures, or you don't like technology very much, and all you want to do is print out a blank form and bring it on your appointment to have your client's hand sign. You can 100% do that, and let's talk about how you would go about doing that. So what you would want to do, first step, is where we clicked on this icon that looks like 2 sheets of paper on the top right. Then on the left-hand side here, if you can scroll down slightly, you'll start to see a bunch of red form sets on the left-hand side. Okay, these are like form folders that hold all of your blank forms. And again, yours will look different than mine, okay, because you're in a different market center than me, most likely. So let's go ahead and click on whichever one you think would be best to access. I'm going to show you a listing agreement, how to pull that up, but you can click on any of the form folders on the left-hand side to just start practicing this. So we click on the form folder in red on the left-hand side. Now you'll see a bunch of forms display, along with a red search bar at the top of your screen as well. Now if you simply click to the right of this little search icon, okay, so there's a little magnifying glass. If you click to the right of that, you can start typing in whatever form you're looking for. So in this case, I'm going to type in the word listing because I want to look for a listing agreement. All right, that will make all the forms that have the word listing in the title of the form display. And the last and final step here is once you find which form that you want, you will click on the 3 drop-down dots on the far right of the form name. Okay, anytime you see these 3 drop-down dots, that typically means more options. Definitely in Dotloop and really most places you see these. Okay, so click on the three drop-down dots on the far right, and you can simply click to download the form. Okay, so it's telling me it's generating the PDF to stand by. So if you're in Google Chrome, it does put the form on any downloads on the bottom of your browser here. So I can simply click on it to open that up and print the form and bring it along with me on my appointment. Okay, so that is how you go about printing out blank documents. I know that was a couple steps, so let's go over that one more time. All right, so let's go over that one last time, how we print off blank documents. Okay, there's about 4 steps here. Step 1, we click on the templates icon on the top right black toolbar. Step 2, we click on whichever form set we would like on the left-hand side in red. Step 3, search for whatever form you're looking for using the search bar at the top of your screen. And the fourth and final step is we click on the 3 drop-down dots on the far right and click to download it. All right, and I am using Google Chrome, guys, so it might look a little different when you download things. Just a quick note on that. Dotloop does tend to work best on Google Chrome. Firefox works pretty well as well. Those are the 2 browsers I would really suggest for all of your KW technology. Try to stay away from Internet Explorer. I believe it's called Edge now. It typically doesn't jive so well with the KW technology. So if you don't have Chrome on your computer, if you download Google Chrome, it'll be the top option and you won't be disappointed. It'll make everything work a lot better in your systems. Okay, so we did all of that in that templates icon. So now that's how you print out a blank document. Now, of course, the whole point of Dotloop is to be able to type in your forms, send it to your clients to electronically sign. So let's take a look at how that is done. So to get back to your Dotloop home screen, we'll click on this icon that looks like a smiley face with no eyes. Okay, that's your loops icon on the top black toolbar. Again, go ahead and click on the loops icon on the top of your screen. And as you're getting there, let's talk about what Dotloop is. Okay, so Dotloop is going to be your online filing cabinet. So you're going to have a loop per property that you sell. So when I say loop, what I mean is an online file. Okay, so again, you're going to have a loop per property you sell. So if you're representing a client who is selling their home with you and then buying the next home, that's going to be 2 different loops because it's 2 different properties. Okay, it's how the system works best. All right, so do make sure to follow along with that to make your life easier. So to get started on that, as you might have guessed, we're going to click on this really big plus sign on your screen, okay, and the red dot here. Okay, if I hover my mouse over it, it turns black, and I'm going to click on it. So go ahead and click on that big plus sign on your screen in the red circle. It'll prompt you to start creating a loop. All right, typically you want to name it the property address. So for today's practice, if you want to name this 123 practice loop or 123 Main Street or your personal property that you live in, go ahead and let's name our loop something. You might notice that the Dotloop system pops up and suggests you with different options here. Let's see if I can create that again. But you can ignore this for right now. Okay, I do go over that a little more in the Dotloop 201 class. But for right now, let's go ahead and ignore that and type in a property address. Okay. Now, I realize that if you're representing a buyer, you won't necessarily know the property address right out the gate, and that's okay. I'll show you how you can change the name of your loop in just a moment here. But if at all possible, go ahead and name it the property address and click the Create Loop button on the bottom right. Now, depending on your market center, you might be forced to select a template from that this list. Goodness. All right, feel free to if you're forced to, but to keep everything the same for today's class, I'm going to just click Create Loop on the bottom right here. To get going on my loop. All right, and that'll create my loop for me. Now, there are 3 main sections of your loop that you want to pay attention to. All right, so first of all is the document section. This top section here, document section, is where you'll be spending most of your time. So this is where you'll be pulling forms into your loop. It's where you'll be typing in the forms and sharing it to your clients to electronically sign. So most of your hard work will be done in this document section here. If you keep scrolling down, scroll down kind of to the bottom of our screen here, you'll see a people section. All right, this people section here will show you anyone involved in this transaction. So you'll see your clients added in this section. You'll see possibly a mortgage provider. You will always also see your admin for your market center added in. So they can do compliance on your loop. That's a good thing. We need that. And you will always see yourself in here as well. Okay, as well as your Dotloop email address, which hopefully now we know to really note what that Dotloop email address is because it is important. And lastly, we have this task section on the very bottom of your loop. So this is where you can go to create to-do lists for yourself in the system. So for example, if you have a listing and you want to create a to-do list to make sure you put the sign in the yard, put the lockbox out, get it professionally measured, so forth. You can create to-do lists for yourself on the bottom of the screen here to check off to make sure you're doing everything properly for your listing. And let's go scroll to the very top of your screen, please. Now, a question that we get all the time is, great, I created a loop, now what do I do? Okay, so the first thing that I would highly suggest doing upon creating a new loop is clicking this View Details section on the very top of your screen. So we're going to click View Details on the very top of our screen under the property address. Okay, so make sure not to miss that part, guys. If you're working on something else, please note to click the View Details right under the property address on the top of your screen. Okay, we'll lose you for a while if you don't click on this View Details on the top of your screen right under the property address. So really important there. All right, and we are loading up here. Okay, so let's start from the top and work our way down. Okay, and I'll explain why this section is so important in just a moment. But for the time being, let's start at the top with the transaction type. So where it says select transaction type, let's go ahead and change that to listing for sale. You know, practice with a listing today. So transaction type, we want listing for sale. Loop status, let's go ahead and change the loop status here to active listing. Okay, you'll notice that you can only change the loop status after you change the transaction type. So it has to be done in that order. And for the loop name on the right-hand side, and this is where you can go about changing the loop name very easily. Okay, you can just click to change it. So for example, if you had to name it the buyer's name at the beginning of creating the loop, you will just want to change it to the property address after that client puts a contract in, for example. Okay, in the people section here. So this people section here, this is where we're going to want to click Add Person on the right-hand side to add in our client's information. So let's go ahead and kick that off. Let's click Add Person on the top right here. And the three main things that you'll need to add a person in is their first and last name, email address, and a role. So let's go ahead and put that in. If you want to go ahead and put in practice with John Smith or your spouse's names, kids' names, okay, go ahead and put in a name here for your client. Ron Weasley will be buying a house from me today, for any Harry Potter fans. All right, and we will need an email address. So go ahead, if you want to put in a personal email address that you have so you can see what it looks like when your clients receive a form, that's often a really great thing to do. Okay, so personal email address, the email address that's not connected to your Dotloop account. And the third and final thing we need is a role. Okay, the role is really important if you want your client to electronically sign. So make sure for the role, we click on where it says role here towards the right-hand side. And let's select seller from this drop-down dot. drop-down box here. Okay, you'll see a bunch of different roles that you can use for your future clients. There's even a scroll bar here that you can scroll for a whole bunch of different ones. But typically you'll be selecting buyer or seller here. So in this case, I'm going to select seller. So we have the three main things that we need to get going with our client: the first and last name, email address, and role. Let's talk about this add to my team button right here. Please make a note. If you're taking notes, write down never, ever, ever, yeah, write those words. Click add to my team if this is for your client. Okay, we never add our client to the team. What that does, what clicking this checkbox does, is it allows this person, so your client, to see everything in your loop that you can see. Okay, the general concept of Dotloop is everything is private until shared. Because you, of course, don't want your client to see everything in your loop. You only want your client to see what you share with them. Okay, so again, we never, ever, ever want to click this checkbox if we're adding our client to the loop. But let's talk about when we would click add to my team. Okay, if you are working on the same side of a transaction as an agent in your office, okay, so if you're co-listing a property on the same side, if you click this checkbox here, it will put the loop into their Dotloop account as well. So they have all the same access that you have to this loop, so you can collaborate on the loop. Okay, or if you're an agent on a team and you have a team admin, clicking add to my team right here will put this loop into your admin's loop so they can help you out. Okay, so it is a helpful tool, just not for your clients. So hopefully you got that in that little spiel here. All right, so after all that, let's go ahead and click add person on the bottom right. To add that contact in. All right, of course, if there were a spouse in the transaction, you could go ahead and click add person again to add in the second person. I'm not going to do that for time's sake, but just one thing to note: if you are representing a husband and wife and you want them to both electronically sign the form, they will need to have separate email addresses in order to electronically sign the form. Okay, that's how Dotloop identifies them as two different people, is the two different email addresses. If let's say the wife doesn't have a separate email address, you will run into this sometimes if the husband and wife share an email account. If you do run into that, advise one of them to get a free Gmail account. It's very easy to set up. Aside from that, if they don't want to do that, you'll have to bring it to them to get them to hand sign the form. There's no other way around it, unfortunately. So just something to note: you will need two separate email addresses if there are separate clients signing the form. Okay, so we have our client added in, and what we need to do now for you, so find where you are, your contact information, where it says none under your Dotloop email address, let's go ahead and change that to the listing agent. So these roles are super important for you to be able to electronically sign, okay, and you'll see that firsthand in just a moment here. All right, so make sure you change your role. It says none off default. Let's change that to listing agent. All right, and let's start talking about the rest of the information down here. Okay, so now hopefully we feel pretty comfortable on how to add a person to your loop. So if you scroll down slightly, you'll see it starts prompting you for various information. What this section does is it auto-populates all of this information onto every single form that you bring into this loop. So talk about a huge time saver. Okay. Also, if you're a new agent and you're looking at these forms, like, where do I put the information, right? And these forms are, a little convoluted, 10 pages, some of them. It's hard to know where things go on the form, especially just starting out. So this back end section here is really your best friend. It straight up prompts you for the information that you need, or that the system needs, and Dotloop knows where on the form to put that information. So huge time saver, takes away the treasure hunt aspect of filling out forms. All right, so let's take a look. I want you to see what that looks like when things auto-populate. So in this property address section here, let's go ahead and put in some of the information for your property. All right, please note the street name and the street number are two different fields here. It trips people up every time. All right, whatever information you want to put in here, really just to show you how that works. If you are done putting in the property address information, feel free to scroll around, scroll down and see all the different fields that you have available to you. Financial information, contract dates, offer dates. Okay, it goes on and on, really. Okay, so this is a really great thing to put in all this information when you get started on your loop. But for now, let's just go ahead and put in the property address information, okay, just the practice stuff. And let's scroll to the very top of your screen and click Save on the top right. Don't forget to do that. You always want to click Save on the top right, and it'll show you a yellow bar that says Save Successful. Okay, so I'm going to say it one more time, just I'm always scared that someone's going to forget to click Save. So scroll to the very top right, it's on this red toolbar. Go ahead and click Save on the right-hand side. Make sure you see that yellow bar telling you the save was successful. And then let's click Back to Loop on the top left side. So Back to Loop on the top left side. It's in red. All right, and that'll take you back to your main loop. Now, as I mentioned, most of your work will be done in this top Documents section. So that's where we're going to start working on our documents, as you might have guessed. So you should have a folder already entered in there, and you should see 3 blue boxes displaying under that folder name of different ways to add in documents. If you do not see these 3 blue boxes, you can just click on where it says Add Document on the right-hand side, and that will make those display. Okay, for future reference, that's great to know, even if you do see the boxes. This Add Document, of course, will add a document to this folder. So where we're going to start is in this template section here. Now this should look familiar to you, this icon here that looks like 2 sheets of paper, right? We started today's class with the templates icon on the top right black toolbar, just trying to draw this together for you. So let's click the first blue box that says templates, and it says add an interactive form by selecting one from templates. So I'm going to go ahead and click there. So first blue box that says templates, let's click. Now this should look pretty familiar to you. Okay, again, this is the template section that we started today's class in. So on the left-hand side, you should see a bunch of red form sets going down your screen. And please note that there is a little gray scroll bar for this section specifically. For some people, for some reason, it trips people up a lot. People aren't able to see that. So that's how you scroll. And let's go ahead and click on whichever form set you would like. All right, I'm going to bring in a listing agreement. If you would like to follow along with me, let's go ahead and click on the form set on the left-hand side that would hold your listing agreement. And let's use the search bar at the top of your screen to search the word listing. Okay, of course, you can search whatever keywords you would like to bring up the form you're looking for in the search bar on the top of your screen. And let's click the checkbox to the left of the form that we want to add. Okay, again, I'm going to click the checkbox to the left of my listing agreement. And I'm going to click the word copy on the bottom right to copy that in. Okay, really any form should work in this back end here, so you can just practice along and get the hang of it. So I'm going to go ahead and click copy to pull that into my loop. Okay, it gives me this nice green check mark that lets me know that it has been imported, and I'm just going to click OK. And there it is. All right, there's my listing agreement right in my loop in my folder. All right, so all I'm going to do now is click on the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. So simply click on that form name to pull that up so we can start editing it. So again, simply click on the form name to pull that up so we can start editing it. Now when that comes up, you should see an autofill box that displays first thing, Please make a note to never click this X. We always want this autofill box. It is our friend. So in this top section here for autofill, where it has your seller 1, you should automatically see your seller's name listed on the right-hand side because we told the Dotloop system that our client is a seller. All right, so they automatically have it. If you do not see your client's name automatically listed here, you will simply just have to click where it says select person and select your client's name from the list. If your client's name is not on the list there, no worries. Just go ahead and click add person and you'll be able to add your client. So if you didn't know there was a wife involved or a husband, you can click add person from here to add in that other spouse. And for listing agent, okay, if you're working on a listing agreement with me, you'll want to make sure that you see your name from that drop down. And if you don't, of course, you can just click to add that in right away. Now, I cannot stress enough how important that you do this part is, okay? These roles, if you do not do this section here, you or your clients will not be able to electronically sign. So super, super important. As you might have guessed, all this autofill box information will autofill on your form. So again, if you are a new agent and you want to start typing in all the information here instead of going on a treasure hunt to find where the form goes or the information goes, go ahead and type it in here. You'll notice for the listing agent information, all my information is already there because we started class in the My Account section, putting that in. So already saving us time. Love that. So let's simply scroll to the very bottom of your screen and click the red autofill button. Okay, scroll to the very bottom of this autofill box and click the red button that says autofill. And it'll bring you into your form. And you'll notice that some of the fields might be yellow. Okay, and any fields that are yellow indicates to you that those fields were auto-populated. Now you'll notice a black box on the right-hand side that says 2 roles have been assigned, 13 fields have been auto-filled, letting you know that has been done. So that goes ahead and saves me some time. So let's talk about preparing the form further. Okay, so the first thing you'll want to do is prepare the form, meaning type in all the information that you need. So for example, all you have to do to start preparing the form is simply click in any text fields and start typing. Okay, so to any text fields, you simply click to start typing. Any checkbox fields, you can simply click to check. Any date fields, okay, you'll notice it's a date field because it has a little calendar icon in it. You can simply click to use the calendar to mark your expiration date in this example. So preparing the form is pretty intuitive in my opinion. Right? It makes common sense, you know, so it should be pretty easy for you, but practice with it, okay? The more you play with this, that's why it's great to have this practice loop, the easier it starts to get and the faster you'll get at all of this. All right, so that's how you go about preparing the entire form. So let's say that we went through and we prepared the entire form. So what we want to check next is the initial field. So if you want to scroll down to an initial field on your form, you'll notice, and you can just watch on my screen as well if you're not following along, that's totally fine. You'll notice for seller initials here, I have my client's initials entered in. Now, if I were to print this form, guys, it would be blank. This field would not have anything in it. This RW in print is just indicating to me that I set it up correctly. If I just see seller in both of these fields, that client would not be able to electronically sign. So you 100% need to see your client's initials in print here for them to be able to electronically sign. If you do just see seller in both of these, okay, again, they won't be able to electronically sign, but how you would fix that is just by clicking this autofill option on the top black toolbar to bring that autofill box back up. Okay, it's asking if I want to save it. I'm going to click yes. So I clicked on that autofill option on the top black toolbar, and that brings the autofill box up. And as I mentioned and stressed earlier, these roles here, okay? You would just need to label your seller, your client, as seller 1 and seller 2 and so forth, okay? So that's why the roles are so important, because it allows your clients to electronically sign. So one last time, do make sure you see your client's initials in print on the bottom of any initial fields or signature fields so you know that you set it up correctly and they're able to electronically sign. So let's take a look at what the difference it looks like when your client actually signs the field, so you can see the difference in that. So for example, if you're on a listing agreement, you might have to electronically sign that as the listing agent. So I'm going to go through that on my screen here. To do that, I'm going to click on the orangish red box here and click on Sign Now. Okay, so the first time, and the first time only, that you or your clients, okay, because this is what it looks like when your clients go to electronically sign it as well, the first time you click to sign the document, it pops up confirming your name. So if you misspelled your client's name, or your client signs with a middle initial or the middle name, they do have the ability to change that at this point at the top here. They also have the option to draw signature. So if you're on a tablet and they want to draw their signature on the tablet, they can. I don't necessarily suggest drawing the signature if you're on a computer, because it kind of looks like a 5-year-old drew it. It's really hard. So unless you're on a tablet, I would go ahead and just type in your first and last name and initials here. And let's click Adopt and Sign. All right, so you'll now see the difference. This one is electronically signed. It has a time and date stamp with it. Okay, in contrast of one that's just set up correctly but isn't signed quite yet. So you'll notice if I go down to the next field I have to assign, I can simply click Sign Now, and it pops in my initials without further question. All right, I just want to go ahead and show you guys what a signature field looks like. And again, feel free to just watch on my screen if that's easier. Okay, the signature fields are exactly the same as the initial fields. I just want you to see it. So where it says Ron sign here, okay, I know I set that up correctly and I know my client is going to be able to sign that, versus if it just said seller sign here. Okay, we do want to see their name sign here. And where I go to electronically sign it, listing agent sign here, I'm going to click Sign Now, and boom, pops in my signature here with the time and date stamp. All right, so that's how easy it is to go about preparing the form and getting electronically signed. Just a quick note, make sure to fill out the entire form before having your client sign it. Okay, if they sign the form first and then you go back and try and make a change, it will wipe out all of their signatures because the system thinks they didn't sign for that, which makes sense. Okay, just a note, make sure to fill out the form first and then have your client sign it. Okay, so coming up here on this black toolbar, just a couple things. So, and if you don't feel comfortable with technology, or if your clients don't trust electronic signatures, which you will come across, you can come into the system here and type up the form like we did today, and then print out the document and bring it with you on your appointment. Okay, because it looks professional if it's all typed up. Yeah, you can't delete, this question is, can you delete loops after you're done creating it for practice? You can't delete the loop, but you can archive the loop. So I'll show you how you can go about archiving loops. There's no deleting anything in the system, unfortunately. So it's good to have a practice loop in there anyway, to always go back and practice features, but I'll show you how to archive loops. It's very easy. I'll do that at the end of class. All right, so coming up here to File, you do have the option to print it from here, so you can print out the typed up document and bring it onto your appointment so your clients can hand sign it if they don't feel comfortable electronically signing. You also have the option to download the document from this file. I really suggest, especially if you get a fully executed offer to purchase, let's say, do make sure to file and download that to your computer just so nothing happens. I did mention signatures can get erased if any changes are made, so it never hurts to download your fully executed documents. All right. So what I want to go through now, and I do go through this ad and this more field in the Dotloop 201 class, but just for time's sake, let's talk about saving and sharing. Okay, so if you can click on the big red button that says Save and Share on the top right of your screen. Okay, it's asking me to recommend it. If it does that for you guys, just go ahead and X out of that. All right, so I clicked Save and Share on the very top right, big red button on your screen, and that will pull up the share screen. And this is really important to know. Okay, for example here, where it says document, this shows you which document you are sharing to make sure if you're sharing multiple documents, let's say that you're not sharing the wrong documents. The next field shows you who currently has access. You will always see yourself and your admin in this who has access, and that's totally normal. But if you can't remember if you already shared this form to your client, okay, your client's name would be up there if you had already shared it to them. But this add people field is where we're going to focus on. You'll see I have my client checked, right? So that's who I want to share it to. My client has 11 fields assigned to them. That's very important to see that, to know that they can electronically sign it. And on the far right, you'll see can sign. Let's talk about this. So go ahead and click on where it says can sign so I can verse you guys on the different sharing options here. Now, can sign is the one most commonly used, okay, that allows your clients to simply sign the form. Okay, you prepare the document, all they need to do is sign the form. So 9 times out of 10, you'll be using can sign, but let's talk about the other methods you can share as well, because they can come in handy. View only, for example. So let's say you have your mortgage provider in the loop, mortgage officer, and you need to share the fully executed offer to purchase to the mortgage provider. All right, you can go ahead and add that person in, the mortgage provider here, and share it as view only. Or if you're representing a younger couple and they want their mom or dad to take a look at the form before they sign it, you can share it to their parents as well as view only. Okay, so you don't need them to sign that, they just want to look over it. So that's that first option there. Okay, again, can sign is what you'll normally use. Can fill and sign. All right, can fill and sign is really great for property disclosures. So, for example, your client might need to be able to type in the age of the roof or the age of the HVAC. All right, so your client needs to be able to fill out the form and then sign the form. Okay, typically that's mostly the time that you'll want to use that for property disclosures. Other than that, you don't want to share it as can fill and sign, right? You don't want your client to be able to do things like alter your commission rate on the form you're sending them, okay? So typically, can fill and sign is just property disclosures. Can edit in private, because it's the last and final one here. That is great if you are sharing an offer to purchase, for example, with an agent on the other side. So that agent will receive the offer to purchase and will be able to create a counter offer if you share it as can edit in private. She'll be able to make changes to the offer, and as you might have guessed, when she starts making changes to the offer, it will erase your client's signatures. And she'll be able to create a counter offer and have her client sign it and share it back to you. Okay, so allowing them to can edit in private gives them all the same rights that you have. Now, if you ever forget what I just said, because I know that was a whole lot of information I just threw at you, you'll notice if I just hover my mouse over any one of these, it pops up telling me what each one does. Okay, so no worries there. But let's go ahead and save it or leave it as can sign. And if you went ahead and put your client in with your personal email address, you can click share here if you'd like to. And so you can see what it looks like as a client when you receive an email from Dotloop and just how easy it is to go about electronically signing. Dotloop makes it super easy for your clients. Okay, so if you're done here, if you're not going to share it with yourself, you can X out of it, but it does look like this if you share it. It gives you this nice yellow bar that says this document has been shared, waiting on others. All right, this is where I typically wrap up class. However, I know someone asked about how to delete loops or archive loops. So if you'd like to stick around to see that, I'm just going to show you that real quick here, and then I'll let you guys go. So for right now, let's go ahead and click this back button on the top left. So it's kind of hard to see. It's a red arrow on the black toolbar on the top left, and that will take you back to your loop. Okay, if you see any pop-up box asking if you want to save it or share it, you can click yes to saving and no to sharing. And that will take you back to your main loop. Now, so if we're ever asked about deleting loops, so there's no deleting anything from Dotloop, which is good because then it's always there. You can always access it again. All right, but if you don't want to see it on your screen, all right, what you would do is you would go to up here, you would need to select the first option, which you should have already done in today's class. So you do need to select this first drop-down dot under the property address. Once you select the first one, so let's say listing for sale or purchase, you will then be able to select the second drop-down, which allows you to archive the loop. Okay, so archiving it is what will make that disappear from your screen. So we want archived so that it deletes it in theory. Okay, it just makes it so you can't see it on your screen. It is always good to keep a practice loop in here, guys, to practice features before you go on an appointment. So it looks like you actually know what you're doing on your appointment. All right, but if we click back to loops on the top left here, we can make sure that that one is archived. Okay, so if you're still seeing that practice loop when you go back to your main loops, but you did archive it, you would just come up to this filters option on the top white toolbar. I know this is a little quick, so bear with me, but filters icon on the top right white toolbar, and you can select in the center column here all the different statuses except archived, and you really don't need to see your sold loops either. Okay, so this is where you can filter your home screen so that you only see your active loops, okay, and not your archive loops. And then you click filter on the right hand side. And that should make that go away right away. All right, so I know that was a little quick on how to archive loops. If you didn't quite get that, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com and let me know that you want notes on that. I'll write out step-by-step instructions on how you archive your loops and send that over to you if you'd like that. I also go over that in detail on the Dotloop 201 class, which again is recorded on slmtraining.com, which I'll be putting up after this class. If you guys have any questions at all on all this, of course, let us know. Again, support@scottleroymarketing.com. We're happy to help you through anything. Check out the Dotloop 201 video, and I hope you guys have a happy Friday Eve. All right? Happy looping. Take care.